I often find patterns, when I look at them, are complicated, or they seem to be complicated. And the triple triangle is one of those complicated looking blocks. So I would like to show you what I do to solve my problem with a triple triangle. I love this quilt. I love this block. But when I'm looking at it, I'm going, there's an awful lot of triangles in there. What can I do to make this a little bit easier for me so that I don't have to cut all these little triangles? And so I know that the triple triangle method that I have works for this. Let's talk about how to make this square in this block for right now. I have a triple triangle, 1, 2, and 3 that it's going to be made up of. So to make this, I will need the square, and I'm going to make the triangles out of rectangles. So let's figure out, first of all, the math on this. I need to know what this finished size is. I'm going to add a 1/2 inch to that square for the seam allowance, and then for the 2 rectangles, I'm going to take the width of the square, and I'm going to add 1 inch of it to get my length for these 2 triangles. So you will have 2 units that look like this. So I have my 2 squares, I have my 2 rectangles. I'm going to sew the square to the rectangle on both of them. I'm going to turn them so that I am sewing the unit together like this. Once I have that unit sewn together, then I am going to mark it so that I can cut it to get my triple triangle. Now you want to make sure that the direction that you draw your lines on below the pencil line looks like that triple triangle unit. If I were to put it this way, I have this open space and it would not come to a point. So I'm going to draw my line, and how I do that is that I am going to put my 45-degree line across the top of my block, and I'm going to make sure it lines up where the seam line is that they cross at the end of my square. I'm going to draw that line on that side. I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to put the 45-degree angle on that again, and I'm going to draw my line again so that I keep my point on that square and draw it across there. Once I have my triple triangle marked on the back of the block, I am going to layer the 2 rectangles together to get my 2 units that I'm making. To do that, I am going to measure the length and the width of that unit. That is what I'm going to cut the size of my other rectangle to be. Then I'm going to layer those 2 rectangles together, and then I will sew on both of those lines. And once I have sewn on those 2 lines, now I'm going to measure to cut the 2 units apart. I am going to measure 1/4 of an inch in from my sewing line. So I have my 1/4 inch line on that. I will cut that away. I will turn it around and do the same again, putting my 1/4 inch line on my seam line. And I have this small little piece that I will discard away. Once I've done that, I now have 2 triple triangle units, and I had no bias that I was working with. It came out beautifully, and I have this beautiful square that now isn't quite as intimidating for me. When I look at the quilt, let's go back to that block. Now when I come back to this block, I have made that unit. I look at the whole block again and I see that it's exactly the same thing on a larger scale. This square now isn't a solid square, but it's a pieced square. Therefore, I can use the same measurements. I can figure out exactly what my my rectangles need to be in the same way that I did it before. And so when I bring my triple triangle in, this now becomes this square in here. To add variety to your quilt and different things, you can make that square into a 4-patch, a half square triangle. You can change the entire look of your block by changing that corner, and it can be whatever you want to. But the triple triangle block doesn't have to be intimidating anymore.